Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So please continue to pray for me by leaving a dislike on this video. I've been feeling a lot better ever since I got a lot of dislikes this past week, and I want to stay ahead of the curve by getting even more dislikes before things start to go wrong again. So let's do it again. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So something interesting happened yesterday, and it's a mixed bag because I handled it well, but the only reason I can handle it well is because of other drama in my life. So it's been a little bit of a trade-off, and unfortunately, my whole life has looked like one giant trade-off that I can't get everything right just yet. Let me explain what happened. I was at a meeting at my new job, Central Arizona College. I was talking to one of the professors who is much more senior than I am. He's a good role model. She's a good role model for me, but unfortunately, she kept talking over me. Not necessarily in a bad way, but in a way that made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. And as I was talking to her, I reminded myself that I have a job that I love here, right? And I also reminded myself that if I need to leave this job for any reason, it's not the end of the world, right? Ideally, I want to stay there, but if I needed to at any moment in time, I could have said thank you very much, but this is not for me, and walked out of there and have been financially fine and emotionally okay too, right? And so that was a nice feeling to be able to say that to myself and still continue to negotiate with her, even though as she was talking over me, I grabbed a notepad and I started to jot down what I was thinking of, and so I don't know if she looked over my shoulder to take a look or something or anything like that, but that would have been fine if she did too, and that was a really good feeling. Now, a few days before that, I was on the highway and I had the misfortune of being in front of a police car. Nothing crazy. I don't break traffic law or anything. Sometimes the only reason I sometimes don't like it when police follow me is that I share an apartment with other people. And other times of the year I live out of my car. And I don't keep anything illicit in the car or anything like that. But just the fact that my life is in the car sometimes looks really bizarre, right? Imagine the police officer comes over and says, "You know why I pulled you over?" And he happens to look behind him, and there's like giant bars of bismuth. He might not recognize it as bismuth, right? And then there's other things in the car, right? I play board games at a board game meetup. Some of the games look like they could be antiques, right? And then there's my eating habits are a little bit weird too, right? I have jars of like chocolate powder or other spices or seaweed powder or stuff like that, and it just looks really suspicious, right? There's nothing illicit about it, but if the officer doesn't know what seaweed powder is and he doesn't recognize bismuth metal, you can only imagine his impression of it, right? Even if he doesn't confiscate what he sees in the car, you can only imagine him putting two and two together and thinking what I'm up to, right? And it coloring the whole interaction, right? And so in the best of times, it's a nerve wracking experience to be in front of a cop car. But even in I didn't have anything weird, and yeah, my car was a little cluttered, but I didn't have that kind of stuff in the car today, the other day. And you know what? I wasn't really nervous either because I have a couple of jobs where I get along with my colleagues. If something were to come up and I need to take a day off to go to traffic court, I can do that. If I need to pay a bullshit fine just to get the officer away from me, I can do that as well. I have options, is what I wanted to say. In the past, when I worked a job where I didn't feel comfortable asking for a day off, I was getting paid shit, right? A traffic ticket might mean that I have to live out of my car a little bit longer before I can move somewhere during the summertime when it's burning hot. Right nowadays, a traffic ticket just means I get to make some more bismuth art to pay for it. Right, very different concept. Right, even though the fine might be the same dollar amount, what they mean in human costs is very different. Right, and so I wasn't nervous about that, and as a result, nothing happened. He didn't pull me over, and so nothing happened of it. It was just a funny footnote to the day. The other thing that didn't happen was when I got home, I didn't feel drained from it. In the past, if I got pulled over, even if I only got a warning, or if I didn't get pulled over but I got followed for 10 miles, a lot of times the next thing I would do is pull somewhere into a parking lot and collapse just from the mental energy drain of that experience. I'm not kidding. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. And so I didn't have to deal with that this past week. And in fact, I see police officers a lot more nowadays. Now that I'm not anxious to look at what's behind me, and it's always a fun experience, right? In fact, I feel thankful that we have police officers willing to do their job, right? That's kind of hard to find nowadays too, right? I'd much rather see that than maybe somebody wanting to carjack me, right? So that's good. Unfortunately, what has to happen to sustain that is often not the funnest part of my life, right? Right now, I'm teaching at 3 different schools, plus my art project, and a lot of gig work as well. And I sell some of my art on Facebook Marketplace. That's not necessarily the funnest thing in the world to do, right? There's a lot of spam there. There are a lot of people who say, "Oh, I want this right now. I'll send you $1 million," and it's obviously a scam. But you still have to interact with these people up until the point that you realize it's a scam. It's just a huge waste of time. I was talking to one of my friends at the board game meetup, and he suggested the next time I get a message, the first thing to check is how long that Facebook account has been open, because a lot of these scammers, they scam a few people and their Facebook account gets banned and then they create a new one. So if it's a scammer, usually the accounts are only a few days old at best, right? That's what he explained to me. So hopefully that will help with things. And unfortunately, I haven't been sleeping very well, and I've kind of backslid with my eating disorders, unfortunately. I hate to confess that here, but I will confess it here because I often go back and watch my old videos for inspiration on what did I promise myself, right? Oh my God, I gotta keep up with that. But anyway, I during the pandemic, I made a lot of progress with healthier eating habits, a good and healthy relationship with food, especially. And unfortunately, a lot of that has backslid in large part because of my career matters, and I want to jump back on that train before it gets too far away from me. Obviously, I haven't been eating bad stuff. It's just too much at the wrong time, not sleeping, and unfortunately, the quickest way to develop an eating disorder is to start with a sleep disorder first, right? If you're not sleeping right, your eating kind of follows suit, right? And when's the last time you had, during COVID, unfortunately, a lot of my favorite foods got discontinued. I remember having a positive attitude, though. I remember thinking that, God, there's so many people who need their medications, or they really have even more food restrictions than I do. And I remember taking one for the team when I saw that my favorite food was not available. In fact, one day I had gone to the grocery store. This would have been in, I want to say, July of 2020. And a funny footnote from July 20. One of my favorite memories during COVID was in June or July of 2020. I had gone to a Walmart, and a lot of stuff was sold out. Toilet paper, all my favorite foods, just about anything that you can think of using on a daily basis was sold out. But there was a huge mountain of tax software in July. I mean, normally it was such an awkward experience for it to be summertime and to see tax software, and especially to then see the rest of the shelves bare as well. But anyway, I had gone to the grocery store one day in July of 2020. And I was just about to go to the section where my favorite sausages were, and there was one pack left, and I noticed somebody standing behind me, and so I was so comfortable with my newfound control of my eating habits that I asked the guy behind me, "Is that the pack that you want?" And I was going to let him have it, but that wasn't what he was looking for. And so that felt good. It certainly felt a lot better. Had I gone there a year earlier, I would have been upset that there was only one package. I was waiting to buy 4 or 5 packages. But unfortunately, the art project has completely decimated all the progress that I have made in years past. And I hope to turn that around. And that's I want you guys to pray for. But unfortunately, 2 years ago, 2 years ago, I had good control of my eating habits, but unfortunately, I didn't have this flexibility at work or when I was in front of a cop car and all that. That's what I meant by life is so, how should I say this? Constraining. Like I feel like I'm constantly having to make trade-offs, right? You hear how senior citizens talk about having to choose between their food and their medicine, and I feel like I have to choose between my sanity and between having time on my hands, sanity, money, a friend, and all. I feel like I'm constantly. I can't have it all. It seems like, and I want you guys to pray that to increase my overall endowment of stuff in life. Right? I don't know if that's the right word for it. By leaving a dislike on this video, right? All right. At least I think I ate pretty okay today. Unfortunately, these last couple of days, I've been eating a little bit better than I did last week, but it takes a lot of thought. 2 years ago, good eating just kind of came naturally, but now it takes some thought to handle it. But I'm so pleased that how I handled work yesterday and how I handled the interaction on the highway earlier this week. If I could have that and my good eating habits and good sleep and a vacation every year, I'll be the happiest man alive, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.